Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the Midday News. This bulletin is coming to you live from our studios here at Kokomlemle in Accra on digital address GA0993341 on Joy 99.7 FM. It's also live on Love 99.5 FM in Kumasi, affiliates across the country on ABN Radio in London and around the world at myjoyonline.com. The news is brought to you by Telesol 4G, proudly Ghanaian, Telesol, Just a Touch, and Mark Auto Parts Ghana, distributors of Isuzu and Chevy vehicles. Mark Auto Parts Ghana with you for the long run. Coming up in this edition, 8 persons arrested by Central Regional Police for vandalizing property at the Akonfi police station in Mankasim.
Intelligence that we had gathered on the attackers, we managed to cordon houses of suspects, a list of suspects we had, and then we arrested 8 of the suspected attackers.
We will get details as a police officer is hospitalized after being beaten by the angry youth who attacked the station. Workers of PMMC call for the removal of the CEO, citing his bad human relations, misappropriation of company funds, amongst others.
He doesn't follow proper administrative procedures. Now, when you come to do licenses, they charge you 7,000 Ghana cedi, and the company gives you receipt on only 5,000. So the question is, where does the 2,000 go? Now he's even victimizing, and as it has gone on for a long time, he doesn't work with the management staff.
We have details also in the bulletin, the revealing account of how PNDC member Sergeant Akatapori went on hunger strike for 12 days just to avoid appearing before the committee investigating the murder of the 3 judges and army officer.
And for 12 days, he was on hunger strike that he would not eat. He didn't know why he was in the cells.
We'll hear from a warden who was later imprisoned and used to extract information from suspects. An IAA board chairman jumps to defense of his wife and EC boss Jean Mensah over claims she's biased in favor of the governing New Patriotic Party.
I ask people when I hear that, when they tell me she's MPP, I say, so what? So what?
We'll get to hear from him as he insists Ghana's decision to partner China is a better alternative to the West. And in sports,
new Asante Kotoko coach CK Akono has been advised to be submissive if he wants to succeed at the club. Join me in 20 for details.
And later in the bulletin, a prayer for a safe flight.
Our Heavenly Father, now we are flying on air. God, direct the parachute, give him the clear sound.
Get to hear from popular comedian Agrobato as he takes his turn on the cowbell in the sky. All that and more here on the Midday News with me, Emefa Apau. We settle for the details now, and police in the Central Region have arrested 8 people for vandalizing properties at the Akonfi police station in Mankasim. According to police sources, the violence was sparked by the arrest of a taxi driver carrying 10 passengers who failed to stop on the Winneba-Mankasim highway when police flagged him down. The arrest, however, angered the youth who armed themselves and attacked the police station in the area, beating up some police officers on duty and releasing the driver. Our correspondent Richard Kujonyako has been following the story and joins us on the line. So, Kojo, we understand the regional police commander has been addressing the media on this matter. What more has he been saying?
Well, he confirms 8 persons have been arrested. He also confirms that the policeman that was beaten is responding to treatment and is even been discharged from the hospital. So, DCOP Paul Awini addressed the news conference this morning.
A group of about 50 men armed with cutlasses, knives, sticks, stones, stormed the Mankasim police station and subjected personnel who were on duty to attack. A distress call was sent to the Mankasim Divisional Police Headquarters, who dispatched reinforcement teams to the station. It was these reinforcement teams that got to the station, and the attackers, on seeing the reinforcement team, fled the scene. Based on intelligence that we had gathered on the attackers, we managed to cordon houses of suspects, a list of suspects we had, and then we arrested 8 of the suspected attackers. We are asking that any member of the public who has any information about any of these suspects, the suspects who are still at large, to pass it on to the police, and then we'll bring them to book.
We'll get you more in our subsequent bulletins. Now, workers of the Precious Minerals Marketing Company, PMMC, here in Accra have besieged the offices of the Trade Unions Congress this morning, calling on the president to sack the company CEO, Opare Hammond, for what they say is his poor management style, which could lead to the collapse of the company.
The staff of PMMC are demonstrating because they have harbored irregularities for a long time. He doesn't follow proper administrative procedures. The truth is that as we stand, we don't even know the staff strength because we don't know who is a staff and who is not. You know, PMMC does license for gold buyers. Now, when you come to do licenses, they charge you 7,000 Ghana cedi and the company gives you receipt on only 5,000. So the question is, where does the 2,000 go? The board allowances has been risen to 729%, whilst the staff take 12%. He has employed 33 security. See the small company, 33 security men. Meanwhile, we were managing with 13 and we were paying less. But now he has brought his own security company, which is alleged that it is either his own or it's a friend's. Last year, he slapped one of the auditors, told the man to go home. We've harbored it for a long time. He divides and rules. So if you don't gossip to him, if you are not his friend, and everything is operated from his office. So if you don't gossip to him, you have no place in PMMC. PMMC is a parastatal and it generates revenue for the government. We call on the president to see to it that he goes.
Have you confronted him to sort of find out why this is the case?
We started confronting him with some issues, and the point is that knowing who he is, when you go to him, he tells you a different thing from what he does. He's a like, you know, the Machiavellian tactics. He tells you a different thing from what he does. So he didn't make himself approachable anymore. Now he's even victimizing, and as it has gone on for a long time, he doesn't work with the management staff that he has. He's operating everything from his office up there.
So you have a worker there at the PMMC. Justice Bedu is our man on that beat and joins us live with details. So, Justice, is the demonstration still on, and what did authorities tell these workers?
So, MFA, workers of the PMMC are back here into the premises but are not working. A lot of them are clad in red. Many parts of the premises at the moment is deserted. A lot of the pillars here have red armbands around them, and what they've been telling me is that they are not working until they get any substantial feedback from the Mine Workers Union, which is their mother union. I went with them to the TUC offices where they had a meeting with their leaders there, and they are yet to get any feedback. But as it stands now, there's nothing happening here. The operations that they have here is mainly licensing small-scale miners and also selling of jewelry in their showroom, which is here in Accra. And as it stands now, there's nothing happening here. All I find here are the security men who are mainly having very little to do this morning.
That's our man there, Justice Bedu, speaking to us. He's been interacting with these workers, and we've tried reaching the CEO of the company, Mr. Opare Hammond. My colleague Joseph Akable has some information on that. What has he been saying?
He says the action of the workers surprises him a lot. He thinks it's very much unfortunate in that since he took over as the boss of that company, he has been engaged in an open manner with the workers. He has assured us that by close of day, he'll be releasing a statement to communicate what he makes of all that has transpired this morning.
He sounds surprised?
Yes, very surprised.
Joseph Akable there communicating to us what the CEO of the company, Opare Hammond, has been saying. We're expecting that statement later on in our subsequent bulletins.
If you are putting your huge money there like 200,000 Ghana cedi and you are going to take it and they say no money, your business too is collapsing. What are you going to do? That's our shivering.
Most of our guys went there for money and they are not getting. You know, so sometimes they go there and they find it very difficult to get.
So what you're hearing there are voices of some aggrieved customers of GN Bank who say they just cannot access their deposits. The founder of the bank, Dr. Kwesi Ndum, is meanwhile reaching out to them in a frantic effort to dissuade them from withdrawing their monies. This has been the trend since the licenses of 7 indigenous banks were revoked in August this year. The Bank of Ghana is today under pressure from officials of the GN Bank, a civil society group, and some analysts to step in to restore public confidence. Listen to head of research at Group Indum, Samuel Ampa, blaming the central bank for panic withdrawals. He spoke on PM Express.
It wouldn't hurt so much for the central bank to come in and say, look, people of Ghana, Yes, we are going through a reform, reviewing, doing a whole lot of cleanup within the banking sector, but this is the stage we've gotten to, and therefore we think that everything is okay now. Everybody's put your money in the banking sector because we need, look, for every economy to thrive, you need a very vibrant banking sector. That is non-negotiable.
Now, senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, Dr. Lord Mensah, believes the central bank failed to efficiently manage information on the state of the banks. This, he believes, is the cause of the panic withdrawals.
If you don't manage information very well, you can trigger, panic withdrawal. And that is exactly what has happened. Now, I indicated earlier that the way and manner Bank of Ghana has been releasing, the so-called defunct banks, bit and piece in itself is risky, so more or less creating panic in the system.
Now, you recall that the central bank had earlier indicated it intends to crack the whip on distressed savings and loans companies. The Alliance for Accountable Governance, AFAG, wants the BOG to focus on restoring confidence in commercial banks before embarking on this action. Arnold Boating is the General Secretary of AFAG.
Savings and loan companies and microfinance institutions, the BOG will suggest the BOG holds on to next year or somewhere when the uncertainty which has come out from the major banks is settled. But we need to win the confidence of the public banking and financial institutions. That confidence is not there; it's shaking. The BOG it has a bigger role to play, but it has a sole role to play. Because they have the mandate to assure the public. They have the mandate to put in structures in institutions and institutions to assure the public that though their monies are safe, they can continue to save the banking institutions.
Now, the minority in Parliament has indicated it will summon Agric Minister Dr. Akoto Owusu-Afriyie to the House to respond to reports that Cocoa Board is spending 1 million Ghana cedis to renovate property for him to use as his residence. At a media briefing in Goso, minority spokesperson on agriculture Eric Opoku claimed Cocoa Board is misusing money to provide comfort for the minister instead of increasing cocoa prices. Cocoa Board has denied the claim, but minority spokesperson on finance Ato Forson claims Cocoa Board officials admitted the claim at a sitting of Parliament's Agric Committee.
Behind the NTAC building that they are constructing for the CEO's official residence, Ghana Cocoa Board is paying for that.
No, as in the minister's official residence.
The minister's official residence, not the CEO. The minister's official residence. They are building for him. And I want you to put the question to the CEO of Ghana Cocoa Board. I want you to put the question to the Minister for Food and Agriculture as to whether Ghana Cocoa Board is not building for him.
No, Cocoa Board have also indicated they have a lot of properties. Once in a while it becomes necessary, they renovate.
So they can renovate a property, but what we've seen there is not just a renovation. They have demolished part of it and they are building a new part of it. Initially, it's supposed to cost 300,000 Ghana cedis. Today, we have evidence that it is costing the state not less than 1 million Ghana cedis. So far, that's how much they've spent. They've expended so far.
And what led to the increase from what you gather?
Well, we don't know. Maybe you may have to go there to have a look.
Does Parliament have official documentation on this expected process?
They have not given Parliament official receipt or official document on it. In fact, in one of the committee meetings, the ranking member, the Honourable Eric Opoku, asked the question. They conceded. So that's why I'm saying that. Yeah, of course, they said they are doing it for the minister's residence, official residence.
You heard the minority spokesperson on finance, Ato Forson, speaking to my colleague Joseph Opoku Gakpo. Now, in his quest to avoid appearing before the committee investigating the murder of the judges in 1982, a sergeant in the army, Aloga Akatapori, I beg your pardon, went on hunger strike for 12 days. Akatapori, who was a member of the PNDC, had been indicted for the murders and placed in BNI cells but refused to cooperate. A former prisons warden who was later incarcerated, Ni Note Tuaka, has been telling us how his key suspect abandoned his hunger strike. He's been speaking on the Super Morning Show on the back of the broadcast of Joy News Special Assignment documentary, Who Killed the Judges.
When Amatekwe finished with the SIB and left, Aloga was brought to the cells. Now, he didn't sleep in the cells. He was brought to meet. He was brought directly from outside to meet the SIB. But when he met the SIB, he said he will not talk until he sees Captain Kojo Chikata. So his interview did not go on. So Alerga stayed with us in the cells. And for 12 days, he was on hunger strike that he would not eat. He didn't know why he was in the cells. And he wants to see Captain Kojo Chikata. If he wouldn't come, he would not speak with the SIB. So 12 days he was not eating, not even water. Until on the 12th day, Dr. Cranton from the police hospital was sent to Oshafo prison to examine Alorga. And he advised Alorga that his state was critical. If he wouldn't eat, he may die before the next day. Still, he insisted. And to be honest with you, something went on we didn't know. Whether Captain Kojo Chikata came to meet him or didn't meet him, I don't know, or we didn't know.
Okay.
But the next day, he started eating. I mean, before the next day, he started eating and met the SIB.
You have a former prisons officer, Nino Tetuaka. Meanwhile, the 104-year-old mother of late Justice Cecilia Kranting-Addo remains in pain and is unable to get over the shock and loss of her daughter 36 years after her murder. Family members tell Joy News' Ohim Interior, who visited the Asin in Suta family house, that the old lady was a guest in her daughter's house when she was abducted and killed.
Born to a wealthy timber merchant, Philip Kugezi, the late Justice Kranting-Addo was known among her siblings as AC. She was born and raised at Asin Suta in the Asin South district of the Central Region. Considered the family's favorite, she was the eldest of 5 siblings who lived in the house known here as Bungalow.
He was the favorite of the family, so it wasn't an easy thing, but then the worst has happened, so no amount of crying would bring her back.
80-year-old Robert Kofigezi is Justice Kranting-Addo's brother. He went on unsuccessful search with his father a day after the late Justice Kranting-Addo was abducted.
When we were coming back, when we approached the house, we saw everybody wearing black clothes. Then I heard my mother crying. So I told my father that the worst has come. He decided that he will stay and I will come here and prepare for the burial.
Mr. Gezi says her mother has since been left in unforgettable pain.
I've always asked my mother to forgive, but she will not. When we try to ask her to do that, he gets annoyed. If my father couldn't do it, I don't think anybody else could.
Have you ever tried persuading her to forgive the killers?
Well, as often as you have to repeat so many times and he will tell you he hasn't heard. The death has caused so much bitterness, you see, in the family that I pray that she will do that before she dies. Whenever he mourns about the daughter's death, it's a curse on those who did it. Yeah, and he never stopped mourning.
As if that is not enough, the family was denied the body of the late High Court judge for burial in her hometown.
You heard there Ohim Interior's report speaking to brother of the late Cecilia Kranting-Addo. This is the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. Some stories making the headlines. Police in the Central Region arrest 8 people for vandalizing property at the Ekumfi police station in Mankesim. Also, we heard from workers of PMMC who were calling for the removal of the CEO, citing his bad human relations, misappropriation of company funds, among others. The CEO says the allegations are new to him and is expecting to issue a statement later today. Still to come, IEA board chairman jams to defense of his wife, and EC boss Jean Mensah over claims she's biased in favor of the governing New Patriotic Party.
I ask people when I hear that, when they tell me she's MPP, I say, so what? So what?
We'll get to hear from him, and later in the bulletin, a prayer for a safe flight.
Our Heavenly Father, now we are flying on air. God, direct the parachute, give him the clear sound. Clear sound.
We'll get to hear from popular comedian Akrobeto as he takes his turn on the cowbell in the sky. We're right back. Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. Time now for sports.
And MFA, did your team win the UEFA Champions League last night?
I was hoping Spurs would. I don't know.
Beat Barca.
Yeah.
That was never going to happen. After Barca losing back-to-back in the domestic league, they needed something, to especially bounce back to winning ways. And that's exactly what they did. They defeated Tottenham Hotspur. Well, the UEFA Champions League matches were played on Tuesday and Wednesday. We brought you commentary here on Joy FM. But tonight is the UEFA Europa League. I'll tell you about how Arsenal and Chelsea are involved in the UEFA Europa League tonight. But before we do that, we have to do some local story. Now, former Kotoko CEO Jarvis Pepper wants new coach Siki Akono and the current management to work together in reaching a common goal. Now, Siki has signed a 3-year deal as the new coach of the team. He was officially unveiled yesterday. And according to Jarvis, the Kotoko job comes with loads of pressure and only a solid collaboration between the coach and management will do the magic.
I believe that he'll be given their full time to perform. Whatever motivated them to give him 3-year contract shows how serious they would also want him to succeed. Because presently, coaches have been given a year or two. But to go ahead and give him 3 years, so that you have a long-term vision, a vision that will let you succeed, a vision that you think that Siki will be able to take you there. And Siki has proven to be a good coach. You saw what he did of James FC, what he did with House of Gold, Ash Gold. But the only thing is that I cannot understand why he normally don't last a season. That is the only thing that I don't understand. But I believe strongly that the support of the Kotoko management not interfering with his job. But then they should be talking to each other. They should be having dialogue when there are problems.
Okay, so that's former Kumasi Asante Kotoko CEO Jarvis Pepper. Well, Thursday night football for Chelsea and Arsenal. Arsenal are in Azerbaijan to take on Karabakh, and also Chelsea, they will be in London, the Stamford Bridge, to take on a video team. They are a Hungarian side. That's your sports MFI.
We hope it goes well. Thank you, Benedict. Now, the board chairman of think tank Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA, has jumped to the defense of his wife and head of the Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah, whose fitness for her new role has been questioned recently over claims that she's biased in favor of the governing New Patriotic Party. As you know, the opposition NDC has questioned Mrs. Mensah's political neutrality. But speaking to my colleague Kojo Yangson, Dr. Charles Mensah says the EC chair's political preference should not be an issue as long as she can do her job impartially.
I ask people when I hear that, when they tell me she's MPP, I say, so what? So what? If she's NDC, so what? Because the question is not whether one is NDC or MPP. Can one be independent and being fair to all the political parties? I think that's the issue. Afarijan voted, Charlotte voted, the Chief Justice votes. But the question is, can you be fair to everybody? And that's Jean's trademark. That's what she's been doing here, to a point where the NDC hierarchy felt very comfortable with her. She worked with them, and sometimes she upset them. Same thing with the MPP. Sometimes they love her, sometimes they don't.
And that's not all he's been talking about. He's also been speaking about Ghana's growing relationship with China and concerns that the Asian tiger is exploiting the country's natural resources. Dr. Mensah believes Ghana's decision to partner China is a better alternative to the West.
Absolutely. Let's look at the alternatives around. The alternatives. In the old days, the Western company tells you, give me a concession of your Awaso bauxite. That was a Western company. It was a Canadian company. They said, give me your bauxite. So $250 billion worth of bauxite was signed off to this Western company in 1954, 1953, thereabouts. By 2000 and something, $250 billion gone out of Awaso. People left there poorer, wearing they're half naked, drinking water from streams where other people are wee-weeing and so on. That was the old colonial order. Now the China alternative is, you're not going to, I'm not giving it to you anymore. It's going to be my bauxite. I want you to lend me money, I'll borrow from you, build my refinery, and I'll pay you with whatever comes out of it. Now, it sounds good on paper, and I see your concerns. I think what we need to do now is rather to have very good governance framework around this. Not to say we would not work with China. Your chances, the alternatives are not there. It's either you give it to the West or you keep it yourself and use Chinese money to develop this. But the governance framework has to be very, very strong.
Dr. Charles Mensah is board chairman of Institute of Economic Affairs, IEA. Well, speaking of China, did you know that Ghana is the 9th most indebted African country to the Asian tiger? Bet you didn't know that. But Ghana has an estimated debt of $3.2 billion to China, whilst Nigeria comes in 8th with $4.8 billion. Kenya comes in at number 3 with $7.9 billion. Ethiopia comes in at number 2 with $13.5 billion. And the top spot goes to Angola with the biggest debt to China, estimated at $25 billion. The country lost a lot of its oil in repaying its debt to China. That's some facts I bet you didn't know. It's time now for Tech Thursday. And sausage, corned beef and other processed meat products have been found to contain a preservative residue in volumes above World Health Organization recommended levels. That's scary. A study by Food Science and Technology Department of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology establishes cancer-causing nitrite in high quantities. Love FM's Kwesi Deborah has been speaking with lead researcher Dr. Jacob Agbeno-Heavy for today's edition of Tech Thursday.
Salts in the form of sodium and potassium nitrite are used in meat products as preservative, antioxidant and color fixative. High levels, however, can pose risk to human health due to formation of substances known as nitroso compounds. Dr. Jacob Agbeno-Heavy.
Butchers and those working at the abattoirs, sometimes they add nitrite to it, one as a curing agent or to preserve it, also for the color, which is attractive to consumers.
For the study, 300 questionnaires were given to all categories of ages in Ayawaso West Sub-Metro in the Greater Accra region to find out on a 24-hour food frequency. 50 samples of different types and brands of processed meat products were randomly selected and analyzed for nitrite residues. The researchers found average 139.85 milligrams per kilogram of nitrite in samples, above 125 milligram per kilogram recommended by the WHO.
Chicken sausage, pork sausage, corned beef, you see most of them had higher levels. It was bacon which was slightly lower.
We have to be more careful then. That's Dr. Jacob Agbeno-Heavy, lead researcher with the Food and Science and Technology Department of KNUST. Former Supreme Court Judge VCRAC Crab has been buried at a private ceremony in Accra. This was after a funeral service at the Accra International Conference Center to bid final farewell to the jurist. In attendance were President Akufo-Addo, Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia, former President Jerry John Rawlings, several dignitaries and many Ghanaians. In their tribute, family of Justice Crab gave an advice on the need to document important events in the country. But did you know that aside his 6 names, Justice Crab had 2 more? Here's a revelation by his family member.
Also 2 names, one from each of his father's cousins. And then, as happens sometimes in Ghan tradition, he also got the name of the one who performed the Pojimo. So he ended up with 5. But that's not the real story. He actually had 2 other names, Adolphus and Earnshaw.
How many names do you have? Now, throughout this week, various media personalities have had the opportunity to fly on the hot air balloon as part of the Cowbell in the Sky project. We've had Israel Lai, Jerry Justice, Nanaba Namwa all participating in the adventure. Well, today, Adum TV's Nanaya Abrefo and comedian Akrobeto took their turn. Here's the story of the adventure, beginning with a prayer for a safe flight.
Our Heavenly Father, now we are flying on air. We don't know where we are going. God, direct the parachute man. Give him the clear sound. And bring us back. Because our babies are small. I love you, God. Amen.
They have just landed. How was the flight?
Oh, it's fried. It's fried. It means it's good for it's fried. Yeah. Okay, Nana, how was it?
It was great. It was great. I mean, there's nothing like it, I'm telling you. And I saw affordable house from the top.
What did you see while you were up there? We see the big land. I wonder if they have to bring Agogo and Enchino to this place. They'll get more grass to eat. Okay. Because if you fry, you see the whole place is grass.
Okay, so that's Akrobato and Anaya Brifo. They took their turn on the Cowbell in the Sky project earlier today. And it's time now to check out what's trending on social media. Salbona,
you're getting this, eh? I really like this.
Yes,
Tomorrow I'll teach you another word, okay?
Please do.
All right, okay. So Liverpool is trending, and at Lend_rate says this has to be the worst match I've ever watched. And at KG says, what kind of game was that? But you know what? Well done, Liverpool.
And that's it for the Midday News here on Joy 99.7 FM. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Pardon me, I can't stop laughing. I am Emefa Apa. Have a good afternoon.